We can now bring in Borzou Daragahi, an independent journalist who joins us on the program. Thank you very much for speaking to us here on France 24. Now, the ruling AK party in Turkey says it expects the PKK to lay down their weapons. Are they getting ahead of themselves here?
I mean, that remains to be seen, as Jasper pointed out, whether whatever Öcalan says, the rank and file of the PKK there's a lot of evidence that they're disconnected from Öcalan at this point, as well as those military leaders referred to in those northern mountains of Iraq. On the other hand, look, the AKP, the AKP, the Erdogan's party, has long wanted this, has long wanted to make a political deal with Turkey's huge Kurdish minority. It would solidify their control over the country at a time when AKP's support is, demonstrably slipping. And on the other hand, as well, the PKK and its philosophy and the military part of it is kind of a throwback. There have been attempts from within the Kurdish political movement in Turkey to kind of advance the movement and move it beyond this kind of 70s, 80s romantic guerrilla type movement and turn it into a real political party. That has been a tension within the Öcalan faction in Kurdish Turkish politics. So, there is some momentum there on both sides for a deal.
So what sort of concessions do you think concretely would have been promised here?
As Jasper pointed out, the Kurdish language issue is huge. There's a kind of intensive harassment of elected Kurdish officials throughout Turkey. That includes removing them from office once they've been elected, putting them in jail, and so on. And that has been a huge problem. So I think that's one of the things that would help a lot. Look, Kurdish politics in Turkey is complicated. You have different factions, even around Öcalan, and there is a kind of a complex of organizations built around the PKK. It's sort of complicated to get all of them in line.
And given that this insurgency has gone on for decades, tens of thousands of people have died, it seems that Turkish officials are very optimistic because they're saying if the PKK does, in fact, disarm, this would free the country of its shackles. But given that the insurgency has gone on for so long, can everyone suddenly get along and live together peacefully?
Well, in many ways, Kurds and Turks, and this is a good question and the big question, in many ways, Kurds and Turks, especially among the young, are getting along. And there is not the tension there was among previous generations. And so I think there's this momentum there, especially among the Gen Z crowd in Turkey, of putting aside these tensions. This is a historic issue. Kurds are one of the main Achilles heels of Turkey's identity, of its security issues, and so on. And I think there's a real desire on the part, in addition to the political advantages for Erdogan to resolve this issue and count the Kurds among his coalition, now that his own party and his own political rhythm, so to speak, is fading. In addition to that, there is a genuine desire to put this issue behind, this historic issue.
Borzou Daragahi, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.